fans? Welcome back to Room 237, back with another review. Now, I'm going to do something kind of different. I've been doing a lot of modern or recent films. So, I got a couple movies here that is actually more familiar ground for, at least for this channel. Because I went to the store that I usually go to today. There was a couple serial killer books I had ordered that came in, so I went to go pick them up. And I saw these two films, one of which just kind of sparked my interest. I thought, let's try it out. And one that I did not know got an official release and couldn't get it forever. It's expensive as hell online. And that one, which I will be getting to, is supposedly the sleaziest giallo ever made. I've been in bidding wars for over $100 trying to find this, and I was surprised to find it today. Again, I didn't know it was coming out. Gore in Venice, better known as Giallo in Venice, completely uncut. So very glad to have that. I'll be checking that out. And of this review, or this film, which I saw the title, I read the back of it, and I thought, it's probably a sleazy kind of proto-slasher from 78. It's not. And I was curious about it. Plus, I really like releases by Severin. And it's 1978's Mardi Gras Massacre. Which anytime, all my videos that have Massacre in the title gets limited ad suitability. So even if it's a movie like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which doesn't really have any blood in it, YouTube apparently does not like it. Now, another reason why this is going to be familiar ground, well, for this, because it's a giallo, and I've already reviewed, I think, close to 120 gialli, so I've done plenty of those. This is because, well, if it was a proto-slasher for that reason, but it's not, but it was one of the 39 original Section 1 list of the DPP's Video Nasty list. And if I'm not mistaken, this is the first time, this is the first release to have it completely uncut. Which I know there was a DVD from Code Red in 2011, Blu-ray in 2016. Maybe those were uncut, and they just weren't released in the UK. Because I know in the UK this was still banned uncut up until March of this year. And then this came out in April. Now, it was written, produced, and directed by Jack Weiss. Jack McGowan did the cinematography. Stars Kurt Dawson, who people might know from Bloodbath. Ronald Tannant, or Tene, from Crypt of Dark Secrets. And Laura Misch, who was 1975 Playmate. Nancy Dancer, Butch Bennett, Wayne Mack, and the star is William Mezzo. He's our killer. Now, one thing about this is no, it's not a slasher. It's not a proto-slasher. It even advertises that it's a splatter movie. For the longest time, this has been seen as sort of a spiritual sequel to Herschel Gordon Lewis's Blood Feast, which it's not. A spiritual sequel, maybe. I think some people might even call it a remake. Blood Feast did get a sequel in the 2000s, also directed by Lewis. I think it holds the record for the longest amount of time between an original film and a sequel. This has a different setting. I believe Blood Feast was in Miami. This is obviously in Mardi Gras. Different person, but the whole killing and sacrificing women for this Aztec ritual, that's kind of the thing that stays the same, and why it's kind of seen as like a sequel to Blood Feast, or almost the same movie. But it's also just been compared to Herschel Gordon Lewis in general, and I can definitely see why. Now, think about this: the Herschel Gordon Lewis scenes, the gore scenes, are fun. They are. They're very repetitive. There's no variety in any of the kills. It's which makes sense. It's very ritualistic, so it's all the same. Which that is looking a little too deep into this film. Which actually I should back up a little bit because it's a 1978 film, but I believe it was actually released in '83. I think I saw that it was released in '83. But anyway, so yeah, like a ritualistic serial killer that sticks to their MO, but this guy is doing an actual ritual. So you get, I think, 3 kills, 3 death scenes, all 3 exactly the same. And, hold on, I'm just going to type in Mardi Gras. I should have done this before, but I thought I did. Yeah, it says released February 11th, 83 in St. Louis. So, it opened in St. Louis in '83. Kansas City, March of '83. Okay, well. It was given an X rating, so yeah. It took 5 years for this movie to come out. And I'm not sure if the extremely low quality and even the goofs with the effects are part of the HGL homage or if it's really bad filmmaking. Now, the editing, the acting, everything else I will attribute to poor filmmaking and it just being pure exploitation. Excuse me. But when it comes to the actual, scenes people want to see, the gore scenes, the kills, I mean, okay. We see up close of a torso as he stabs the dagger into the stomach, reaches in, pulls out the heart. And I will say, whoever did the effects took the time to make 3 torsos that do look like the actress. I will give them that. But like the first time, the first victim, when we show up close to the torso and as he's rubbing oil on it, if you look in the corner, you can see a hand kind of repositioning it in front of the camera. The second girl, as he's cutting into it, you can actually see the end of the torso and the opening for all the parts. Like, say this is the edge of the screen. The torso like ends here, and you can tell it's just a prop. I don't know if that's intentional and just part to look like a low budget movie, like a Lewis film, or if it's a genuine goof. It's kind of hard to tell. Now, the plot is very simple, which you have this guy named John who goes to these strip clubs, nightclubs, ask for the most evil woman in the room, takes these prostitutes, takes them to his apartment where he lays them down on a table, ties them down. He wears this ceremonial mask and garb, rubs oil on him, and then he cuts her hand, saying, for the hand that took my money, then her foot, for the foot that led me to your evil. And then he just cuts right into her torso, rips the heart out, and shows into the shrine of this Aztec goddess. And then there's these 2 cops that are looking after him, or looking for him, rather. And they're in kind of the cliches of just, like, fringe cops. Like, one used to be in Vice, and he got burnt out, now he's... There's not much character development at all in this film. There rarely is in exploitation films like this. But he's questioning a prostitute that knew the first girl that was killed. And then they kind of get close. They start dating. And this movie goes in a cycle. Shows the guy, John, looking for a prostitute, picking one out, getting her to his apartment, killing her, going through his ceremony, killing her. Cops being told, the two cops being told they found the body. They talk about it. They may or they may not look into it. And or the one cop with the prostitute who's now dating. And then we just go back to the guy looking for a new prostitute. It literally goes in that cycle. You can almost tell what's going to happen because it does go in that same sequence throughout the entire film. Also, this movie runs at 96 minutes. The thing about Herschel Gordon Lewis films is they typically run between 60 and 75 minutes. And I feel like that's all they had material for. Because this movie is loaded with padding. I mean, there's a long montage of the cop and the hooker when they first start dating, going around town, going to lunch, not hearing what they're saying, just music. Which the score was done by Dennis Coffey and Mike Theodore. They both worked on Black Belt Jones. Long montage of them spending the day together. Or later on, a long montage of them walking around town, asking around for if they've seen anybody. The only lead they have is that the guy wears a big golden ring, which is also part of his ceremony because he reaches down on her chest and will like nick her chest with his ring. So the only lead they have is that he's got this big ring. So you get the long montage of them hanging out, the long montage of them asking around town, very long dance sequences when he goes to these clubs. So tons of padding. Also the editing, there's a lot of random cuts. Like, and also this movie doesn't even take place during Mardi Gras until the final act. Apparently he kills a girl each Tuesday. So there's like 1, 2, 3 Tuesdays. Then the week of Mardi Gras where he wants to kill 3 at the same time. One of which is the hooker that the cop is dating. And even though that's the only part of the movie that takes place during Mardi Gras, the streets are empty. They didn't try to get extras or anything. All the clubs and strip clubs look completely empty, like it's a Tuesday morning or something. There was something else I was going to say about that. It takes place on Mardi Gras, but no one's there. It is kind of a drag to sit through during most of it. The dialogue is horrific. Oh, the cuts. That's what it was. So when he has the 3 girls up in his apartment, he gives them wine, and they're sipping it. Then he steps out of the room, and it just cuts to them all laying on the floor, knocked out. It doesn't fade to black. It doesn't cut to another scene, then come back with them passed out. It literally just, they're sitting there drinking, and then they're on the floor. Has a lot of random cuts like that. Scenes will just end. Actors will stutter or stumble over their words. Look like they're struggling to remember their lines. I can only imagine it was made like an Ed Wood movie where they do a take. It's perfect. Don't worry about it. If I remember correctly, even Blood Feast had a bit more variety to the kills or the gore. Which here, yeah, okay, the torsos look fine for the budget for 78 and compared to the rest of the film. Which, yes, even though you can tell where the torso ends, because I think it's up until the 3rd girl they have the camera right, so it actually looks. But like as he cuts into it with the ceremonial dagger, no blood comes out. He reaches in and pulls out, I think they used actual animal hearts, probably a cow heart, Because, I mean, this thing's the size of a pot roast. Which is something HGL would do. He would use actual animal parts for gore. It does have that thick, vibrant red paint blood. But, like, it doesn't bleed. You can tell it's hollow. Which is cheesy, yes. But I like it. It gives it charm. I will say the kill scenes are the only things that really keep me interested. Even though there's no variety to them, they're all killed the same way. It's very repetitive with its plot or its narrative. You know, him looking for prostitute, kills, cops find out, they look into it, or the cop dating, and then back to. But I mean, if you like grindhouse films or Herschel Gordon Lewis, then I think that there's definitely something here to like. But if you're more the slasher fan, like if you're more Friday the 13th and Halloween and, you know, Alone in the Dark, you know, a lot of the more better made ones, this is definitely not for you. I really think this would only appeal to not even fans of the video nasty, because I think when people think of video nasties, they think Cannibal Holocaust. They think of the most extreme end of the spectrum of video nasties. Even though, yeah, this is bloodier than a lot of other ones. But I do think this might really only appeal to someone who really likes, like, the Herschel Gordon Lewis type film. There's also, like, no camera movements. I mean, the camera doesn't really move a lot. It's almost like they set the camera down on that shelf because it's all, like, the same mid shots where it's someone sitting at a table or standing at the bar. It's the same distance from the camera almost every time. Sometimes it'll cut to a close-up, but it always cuts back. It doesn't pan or move around or anything. The back says it's a 2K master compiled from the best surviving post-Katrina elements. Now, I don't know if this was actually stored, like the originals was stored in New Orleans, and Katrina screwed a lot of that up. But there are some scenes where it's really fuzzy and the transfer isn't that good. Luckily for me, I'm not a quality Nazi. I don't care if it's Ultra 5K, you know, where you can see the pores of the actors. I don't care about that. I love VHS quality. This does have, I think, the same features as the Code Red release, which is an interview with Jack Weiss, interview with killer William Mezzo, interview with Laura Misch, and a trailer. So yeah, I mean, well, Herschel Gordon Lewis fans will like this. Maybe your typical exploitation and video nasty fans might like it. But other than that, this really isn't going to appeal to a wide horror audience. This is definitely stuck in a niche where classic splatter, classic exploitation, them it might appeal to. But even then, it's going to be a drag because, like I said, this movie is full of padding. Like, they really could have chopped off probably, realistically, anywhere between 20 and 30 minutes. This could have been a 60 to 66 a minute Herschel Gordon Lewis film. That's really how much time really matters in it. But that's really all I got to say about Mardi Gras Massacre. Not much at all. I mean, I'm glad I have it. Glad I have it for the collection. I thought it was going to be more of a 70s proto-slasher. But, yeah, it's just more of a classic splatter film. Hopefully, I'll have more to talk about when I get to Jello in Venice, which, yes, that's what I'm going to keep calling it, despite it being called Gore in Venice. I can't express how happy I was when I found this. I saw the spine, I was like, there's no way that's the same movie. I ripped it out and I looked, and I was like, holy shit, it's Jello in Venice. I lost on eBay $80, $150. Couldn't find it anywhere. And I believe this is the only time it's 100% uncut. So it finally has an official release. Not in English, but that's fine. A number of my Italian films are not in English, but yeah. So not too much to say about this film, but I'm very excited to get to this one, Giallo in Venice. But this was for the Severin Blu-ray release that did just come out, a Mardi Gras Massacre. Thank you for watching.